Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you finding the time. I've actually been really looking forward to this, catching up with you guys, and probably asking you some questions, but I think the conversation will probably just flow, which is kind of the best episodes, because otherwise there's like an awkward silence, and then I have to ask another question, and that's kind of when it doesn't make for great podcasting. So let's just start by everybody introducing yourself, and you can kind of say your length of time in emergency medicine or EMS or public service, and we'll go from there. Let's start with Mark. Don't say your last name.
I'm Mark, last name redacted. So I started as an EMT in 06, became a paramedic in 11. So you do the math.
5 years as an EMT. What took you so long?
Well, 2 of those were I was in school.
Oh, okay.
So
okay, that's fair.
Yeah, it was like 3 years.
Okay.
And then I was on my employer had the plan to send us through P school, but it took 2 years.
Okay.
And yeah, so 13 years as a medic. So yeah.
Nice. What kind of experience do you have in EMS?
So started out just public 911 ambulance-based EMS. And like so many people in EMS, just kind of like skipped around, not sure who I want to be when I grow up. So I worked that for a long time, but I've done some contracting, like working at job site type stuff. And then I taught, I've been a full-time instructor. And then my last position was working for a rural agency as a community paramedic.
Okay. What's the, tell me about the community paramedic stuff.
It's hard to define because EMS itself is such a weird nebulous job description. Like a paramedic in Connecticut is not a paramedic in Colorado. And community paramedicine is so new and novel that it gets utilized in different ways. But essentially it's how do we take pre-hospital providers and make them into preventative, like people who are in preventative care and non-emergency care to divert people before they need 911. There's a gap in healthcare between your primary care doctor and the ER, and can we meet that gap with this provider who is, not there just for strictly the emergency stuff, but also not a doctor, not a PA, not an NP. So that's it. And that, so my position, we did telehealth. We would go out there and we could meet, assess, put the patient on with the doctor via telehealth. We also did mental health, substance use, crisis management. So it was 2 really different jobs. But it was the idea of like, there's this gap and paramedics will do literally anything. So why not use them to fill this gap?
Right. That's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely something that's popping up in a lot of places, I think, but I just don't know much about it.
And I think it's so new and it's being utilized. It's so community specific.
Yeah,
the
totally.
Needs in Dallas, Texas are going to be very different than the needs in like Eastern Colorado. So at some point I feel like the community paramedic thing will self-define itself, but right now it really is like you're neither here nor there, and so you can be utilized in a lot of different ways. But like the community paramedic test, none of that was about mental health care, crisis management. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone who imagined that the community paramedic curriculum was like, and then there'll be a hostage negotiator. But paramedics are so used to, and paramedics and EMTs, I shouldn't just say paramedics, but like EMS, first responders, firefighters, cops, they end up being the stopgap between the large edifices of public service and public health. So they just get slotted into these spots because nobody else is there to do it.
Yeah. I would change edifices with orifices, but I agree with you, Mark.
Orify? Is it orify? Orifin. Orphan.
And you're teaching, are you teaching EMT programs or paramedic programs now?
Right now I'm teaching, I'm a part-time EMT instructor while taking classes and stuff.
Nice.
So I've taught EMT, wilderness first responder, advanced EMT, helped with paramedic classes, but I've never taught a paramedic class.
Okay. Cool. Brent?
Okay, my name is Brent. Been a firefighter. My academy got out in 2003, started in 2002, and I've been doing that ever since. So I'm now a lieutenant. So worked my way up as a driver and now to lieutenant.
Dang, so 22 years? Dang.
A minute, so. And I got full-time. So I was a reservist initially for a few years, and it was kind of, money was tight back then, but yeah.
You have some experience on 911 ambulance as well?
I've worked a couple shifts on a 911 ambulance, yeah.
You prefer the apparatus or the ambulance?
I was the best EMT I've ever been when I was on the ambulance.
Sure.
So it was fun, just running those calls, and that's what we do, the vast majority of is medicine, so.
And now you're a fire officer, and
I am.
That's cool.
I'm the boss.
You can tell by the mustache.
Yeah, I was going to say, does the mustache have its own badge? Like, do you get additional seniority based on the mustache?
Have you ever seen what was it? The Santa Claus. Like, I shave every morning and it just grows back like this.
Ever since you became a fire officer,
exactly.
It's inevitable.
It's so weird, yeah.
It grew during his interview.
By the end, it'll be like
it's actually quite painful. It's like the werewolf scene. Yeah,
I'm taking a lot of opiates. Super addicted.
Yeah. All the poor kids behind him that were just in the waiting room, their turn was they just heard him screaming.
And then, everyone.
And then they just
just left. They're like, "Oh, he's got the mustache. He got the job.
Yeah,
we'll just leave."
Pulling the sword from the stone. You just know the mustache.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yep, no, that's true, but there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Nick, tell us about yourself.
Where to start?
Well, let's just be honest. Mark, this is all an intervention for you. That's why we're here.
Gotta shave the beard.
Yeah. Has nothing to do with alcohol or drug abuse, but it's the beard.
I can shave it whenever I want, buddy.
Yeah, we thought you'd say that.
I know. Look, I got products for this thing. Like, this is a cultivated.
It's good.
Yeah, dude, don't say that.
That's good.
No,
guys, respond in the comments if you think Mark should shave his beard. Just let us know what you think. Yay or nay, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Take away the
for those folks watching. Mark is actually 23 years old.
He's been a paramedic for 2 years, and this is what's happened to him.
Yeah.
Exactly. He was clean shaven 2 years ago.
Yeah, just got done being an MMA. I'm really excited to get off the wheelie side, and
Let me tell you about stock and ambulance.
That's you see some stuff, man.
One time there was blood, and I had to clean it up.
Oh gosh, I wasn't aware that bifacial hair was going to be a focus of
an intervention.
You
That's
got a
the whole
beard?
point of an intervention.
I know you had a beard once. Don't come at me with your holier than thou.
I have a picture, actually.
I don't think I've ever seen the beard.
Do you have a picture? When did I have a beard?
I have a picture of you.
Broke your...
That's true.
But after Margot was born, when you were on paternity leave, you grew a freedom beard.
I don't like shaving, so I will also, when I retire and become a Walmart greeter, I will have a beard.
Do you have to? You don't have to shave for your current law enforcement profession, do you?
Combat beards.
I thought they changed that.
They did change that. And until I get done with all of my training and am blessed after a probationary year, that may be a consideration.
You want the nice professional clean shave until then. Make some good impressions.
Best way to put it is, who are the people that are training the new people? That the people who are the older people who have kind of maintain a level of appearance. Like how should a trainee look? That should include being clean shaven.
Makes sense.
I'm actually growing hair because I've had the 1/4 inch or less 1/8 inch buzz cut forever since I've known Brent.
Yeah.
Because it's the easiest and least offensive, and it's not a thing. So if you're walking into an injured 16-year-old or an injured 80-year-old, they don't care.
That's true.
But if your hair's all weird and flopped over in some way, then it becomes a thing. Like either they like you or they don't like you, but it's a thing. So it was the cheapest, easiest way to have a nondescript haircut, but I am officially growing hair. So right now, it is on its way out. It's growing out. and then
We were talking about gum earlier. Do you chew gum at work?
Oh, constantly.
I actually have had that be an issue with patients because I'll chew gum periodically, and some patients will just verbally note it. They'll be like, "Oh, you're chewing gum." And you're like, well, I just lost a lot of credibility with you. For some reason, they do not like the,
You know what? You
I had a
die
patient.
of appendicitis.
I had
then.
I had a patient go, "Oh, you're chewing gum. Cool." And I was like, "Well, all right. We'll spit this out, I guess."
You like bad breath? Like what's
I
up?
think the key would be to grab the wastebasket and maintain eye contact and go.
It's like that'll be $500.
Does your insurance cover me not chewing gum?
Yeah. Wrigley's Spearmint, $5.99.
Yeah.
We just chart this really fast.
How long you been in EMS/public service, Nick?
I started my EMS career in 2000 I guess I moved here. So 2004, I went to EMT Basic
Okay.
in Louisiana. But then my first job was post-Katrina, moving to Colorado Springs.
That's
So
right. Okay.
2005, I started on the street.
How long were you a paramedic for?
I am technically still a paramedic, which will be ending in March of 2025.
You're going to let it go?
Yeah, I think so.
I've been debating mine because I definitely don't use mine, but it's so easy to renew with my other medical education requirements that I just keep renewing it.
It's
you
not
put
easy
more
to
letters
renew
after
for
your name.
me. But
Yeah, because
I'm
if you're
afraid
not
of letting
getting
it
the
go.
education requirements, yeah.
Yeah, boy, if you don't meet your requirements for a medic recert as a PA,
Yeah.
that's scary. So yeah, I imagine that's just a matter of sending in your
Yeah,
check.
because I have to get 100 hours every 2 years as a PA. So
That's not bad.
No, it's doable. It's just you got to be on top of it. Can't leave it all towards the end. But what's paramedic like?
80. I just researched.
It's not that
They
many.
change
It's
all
like
the time,
50, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to say it's like 50, but I can't remember.
I roll into research like I roll into tax season. Just like gather together whatever pile of stuff that I have and hope it's enough, and then last minute panic.
I'm completely the
exactly what I
opposite.
just
I
said.
roll into it like I roll into tax season, like thinking about it a full year in advance.
I am
All my
certain
receipts, pictures
collated,
taken, and
yeah, color coded. Yeah, absolutely.
You were widely acknowledged as being super squared away as a paramedic.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of OCD about things, and
You would get your reports done
Oh,
before
yeah.
you got back to the station.
Yeah,
when
100%.
We were both working at a not to be named fire station. And what else? Oh,
yeah, I would take over for you, and you'd be there for hours just still writing reports.
totally. Yeah. You know. This is another thing that Aaron said to me,
unnamed
and I'll never
department.
forget it because you're the one person that I know. You're younger than me that said, "No, I'm not in the 401k. I can invest way better than they can." And you were like completely on top of your retirement as a paramedic, like as a street paramedic. And I don't know how old you were at the time. Not that old. At that point, I basically just give you the keys to the maturity vehicle. I'm like, here you go. You're driving. I haven't thought of. Yeah. My retirement is to be a Walmart greeter. Like, get the kid through college and then do something where like someone won't hand you a dead baby and you can still make a paycheck.
I mean, a Walmart greeter, that's a non-zero chance that someone hands you a dead baby.
It's true. That's true. So, okay, a midnight stalking associate at Walmart.
Anything
or
at Walmart.
Safeway.
Anything at Safeway, maybe. Anything at Walmart, there's a non-zero chance someone just hands you a dead baby. It'll be in exchange for whatever you're stocking.
You have to be mentally prepared for it at least.
Yeah.
Because the chance is not zero. I mean,
But the expectation is zero.
it shouldn't
You
be.
could straight up drop that kid
Yeah.
and they'd be like, what, he's a Walmart greeter? What do you expect?
Yeah.
Like, why did you hand your baby to a Walmart greeter?
My credit card wasn't working, and I thought I could trade this for a pack of Marlboros. Ah!
What made you go into law enforcement from EMS?
That is the question.
That is a question. everyone
Thirst
wants
for
to know.
power, I believe, is what you said to me earlier.
Perhaps we'll confuse this and muddy the waters with a story.
Oh, God.
At a nondescript intersection on North Academy Boulevard in Colorado Springs, a guy years and years ago, traffic was stopped at a light and drove his motorcycle between the vehicles, which is now legal in Colorado Springs.
I've noticed.
The cars have to be stopped. Nobody knows that. You can't split.
But they can do it at a stoplight, though.
Yes.
This is not like when you're gridlocked on the highway. This is
No.
you're stopped at a red light. They can go right between the cars to go.
Yeah, to be decided, I think, on the gridlocked on the highway, as long as the vehicles are not moving. But
Right.
the vehicles around you can't be in motion. But he ended up coming in way too fast and ping-ponged off of a bunch of cars. Driving like a sport bike of some kind. And then he gets up, and this is before everything was developed in that area, and runs into a field where he collapses, where we find him. And he has no warrants, other than I imagine the ticket he's going to get for careless driving.
Right.
He had no reason to run. He wasn't being chased by anyone. He has no warrants. And when asked why he ran, he said, "I don't know." That's how I ended up being a cop.
It's that easy.
Yeah.
I collapsed in a field with a head injury.
This is not a story. This is a cautionary tale.
Yeah, I mean, he had a head injury, but he had no idea. His I think just adrenaline, like boom, 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 boom. Made it about 200 yards. Thunk.
Stranger danger.
Yeah, exactly. That was back when we were putting him on a spine board because he had to go. Everyone had to go to the spine board.
Just just to be safe.
I mean, you could run 200 yards and fall into a field. We actually put him on the spine board for falling in the field. Not for the...
I had to put him on the spine board to drag him out of there.
Do you want to wake up paralyzed tomorrow?
I
Get on
do
this
not
board.
miss the spine boards at all. Oh my
Seriously.
gosh. I used to have a partner we would be transporting from the fire department. The fire department's like, no, we don't need to put him on a spine board. We would pull a few blocks away and we would pull over and we would put the patient on a spine board in the back of the ambulance. And they're already on the gurney, like we're already headed to the hospital, but no, we can't show up with this person not on a spine board or
and
someone's
feel
going to give us
great
grief.
about it, you know, and be like,
we're doing the best medicine ever.
Yeah, these guys don't know what they're talking
Yeah.
about. Me, I'm putting you on a
This
spine
guy had
board.
neck pain 3 weeks ago, and they didn't want to put him on a spine board.
Yeah.
It's a miracle he's not paralyzed.
Yeah. Any minute now, his
but this
vertebrae
is-
could
I don't know-
shatter like glass.
What's I don't know who the demographic who listens to your podcast is.
It's primarily EMS, the EMS community.
EMTs? Because the spine board lesson for new EMTs is a huge one. Because we get into medicine, I can speak for myself, and I'm fairly certain for you, because we've talked about it, that you get into medicine assuming that it is this thing. Like they are teaching you a skill. Like if you go to become a mechanic for vehicles, like this is an internal combustion engine, this is how it works. And what you don't know is it's an absolutely moving target and changing all of the time. And many things that you take as orthodoxy are predicated on best guesses, hunches, and superstition, right? Old wives' tales, which is essentially the spine board was an old wives' tale. And we took it when I was taught an
gospel.
EMT basic in 2005. You put somebody in a KED first from a seated position in a vehicle, in a fender bender.
Yep, they're still teaching that when I went through.
And then you remove them and place them in the KED on a spine board and secure them to that spine board to assure their comfort, and then take them to the hospital on a stretcher.
Right.
Which is also, it can't be placed in a position of comfort because they're on these things. Unless they're pregnant, and then you make it really awkward and tilt it, right?
Yep.
But that was a thing that you had to demonstrate proficiency at to get your national registry back then. KED was a thing. But to anyone listening who hasn't figured this out, that changed at a certain point. We all knew. Didn't we know at some point this is ridiculous?
I mean, you would think
we were
so much time on scene. Yeah.
And it's because we're not doing anything for this patient other than strapping them down, making their airway difficult to manage, and causing a significant amount of pain that National Registry dodged by simply saying, "Oh, no. You guys remember the verbiage? Pad the voids. Pad the void." Right. So you spend more time. You're like, "How's this?" You're like, "Oh, give me some Curlex."
Well, to me, it's one of those things in medicine, logically, it kind of makes sense to me. If we're worried that this patient has a broken back, let's make it so they can't move it at all, regardless of how uncomfortable it is. To me, it kind of makes sense logically, but in reality, it makes no difference. But I think that we get, it's like epinephrine, right? probably not needed. Probably not really saving anyone's lives in a cardiac arrest.
You take that back. That's one of my special toys. I make a difference with that.
All we had left. Took everything away. Now, Epi?
Yeah.
It made us feel great.
No
because
CPR. Just don't do anything.
It made us feel great, right? Because we would get pulses back.
You got to get the insurance. You have to respond to get the insurance.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You keep talking about insurance as if that makes any difference in the ER whatsoever.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is
the new monitors, the new life packs have a slot. If you don't enter your insurance card, you may not be qualified for a 12 lead.
Well, you get the first 5 minutes, and then if you're like, would you like to continue defibrillating? Please enter your information.
No, the pacer actually slows down.
It's also got a slot, accepts $100 bills.
Yeah. Well, do you know?
Private pay? Here you go.
Have you read why backboard became like standard of care? Like what the origin of that is?
No.
There was it was a
Vikings. No, I'm just kidding.
Vikings.
when they crossed the Atlantic.
Well, once it was, for people without mustaches to self-stabilize, it was aimed at the weaker people in society that don't self-stabilize with a giant handlebar mustache. Don't quote me on names or dates, but it was a family practice doctor. It wasn't even like an emergency doctor, but they wrote an article in one of the medical publications basically saying, you know what, I think it'd be a good idea that if someone has head, neck, or back pain, we should full body immobilization. There's no studies. It was a guess.
Logical
and a logical
fallacy.
guess, right?
A logical fallacy.
Well, yeah, like because if I break my arm, right, I splint from wrist to elbow. It's basic treatment. So if I'm worried I've broken my neck, then I should splint from head to back. But there were no studies, and there wasn't even an anecdotal story of this doctor who's like, I was there many moons ago, and this 7-year-old child maybe would be walking. It was just, and it just kind of like propagated throughout medicine and became the standard of care until someone started, like someone was like, but really?
We're actually doing a lot of harm by keeping these people on backboards for hours and hours.
That was like a dirty little secret, right? Like, pressure ulcers and, back pain that they didn't have because it became, based on mechanism, everybody went on a spine board, right? So it was, and think about it, like if we could magically track all of the like vertebral injuries, so like not spinal cord injuries, but spinal injuries, who started by calling 911 with a spinal injury that then, because of movement, became an actual spinal cord injury with deficits? What would, like, if we're just playing the odds, they're significantly less than the odds of adverse effect to any medication that we give in medicine. Right? Like, so we're playing the odds anytime you give a medication. Like, there's a 0.0001% chance that, you'll grow another head.
Well, there's a point that, yeah, I mean, because, especially if there's nothing actually wrong with you. That's like a big problem is if there's nothing actually wrong with you, we're much more likely to harm you than we are to help you. If you got something actually wrong, that swings in favor of maybe we're going to do something that helps you. But if you have nothing actually wrong with you, we're probably going to harm you with treatments.
I blame firefighters.
Yeah, me too.
I am all for blaming firefighters.
Well, because, Brent, in the movies,
yeah,
right, firefighters show up and they just cut a car in half and someone floats out.
Right.
Like on a hoverboard. And yet every time I've seen you guys...
Not us.
You didn't spend enough time out at the nondescript, unnamed government agency that works for it, because I've seen him do that.
But it takes, there's still obstacles, and for the EMS providers, we can't just float them out in a straight line. We have to move them.
That's correct.
So I blame the firefighters for not providing.
I got in trouble at first with holding the spine board in the way of Brent as he levitated the patient out. that was the biggest hindrance. I was just in the way with it.
It was just him using the power of pure awesomeness.
Yes.
I just tied my mustache around there. Yeah.
Just reached in like tendrils. Yeah. The problem is that has a compressive force and that actually crushes and destroys the patient.
I've actually learned to control it.
Yeah.
It's taken years.
He didn't ask for these powers.
I know.
They were given to him.
You know that submarine that imploded outside the Titanic? That was Brent letting off steam.
check it out. The Titanic was when Brent was mad.
Well, I'm not that old. Come on, are these old jokes now?
he missed the launch. Like Brent was standing on the dock as the Titanic sailed off, and he was like, "I'm getting you."
What do you miss?
Before, so we know that we
Mustache-shaped hole
failed
beside
Aaron.
Man, I
when
thought
he-
we had finished the tale of
we failed
We're
Aaron
going
and he
back
started
to
with the next
something.
question. No, but the lesson to be learned is that indeed the spine board was actually a bad idea and caused injury. And you could probably correct me, but I think it was the Philadelphia study where at some point in like the 80s or 90s, they had cops or first responders, whoever got there first, throw the patient in their vehicle and drive them to the hospital with minimal intervention versus letting EMS show up and treat them. And that they had I think it was a 14% mortality rate with EMS and a 7% mortality rate with
These are
law
in the
enforcement.
80s?
Right.
And
That was a relatively
it
new
was-
discovery.
Maybe it was 90s. I don't know. It wasn't.
90s is not relatively new, bro.
I'm old. But at any rate, when they're coming up with ideas, like they don't know why this is, but the ideas were like the spine board, the time it takes to spinally immobilize somebody, and then airway difficulties because you can't articulate somebody's neck when they're on a spine board. And if I've been shot in the chest, a spinal injury, especially to my neck, is probably pretty low on the list. Especially if I can walk. Like if I can already walk, I'm probably not worried about it to the point where I'd put me on a spine board. But I can remember times in whatever city we might be in with nondescript agencies shooting victims, like penetrating trauma, on spine boards.
Yeah. Yep.
And intubating those people on spine boards, totally difficult. So that's a strong lesson for an idea by apparently a family practitioner that becomes orthodoxy, that it was taught to us, and it was really serious. Do you remember being like a brand new EMT and passing by a traffic accident and being like, I should stabilize C-spine. Like, I should just get out of my car, walk over
Let me
there.
grab one of my seat collars out of my back seat.
I should activate my light bar.
This jump kit that I acquired completely legitimately.
Yeah, exactly. And because you think, I don't want this person to be paralyzed. I don't want anyone to be paralyzed. I'm going to go stabilize.
You're only allowed to pull over for a traffic accident if you have EMS license plates.
I didn't have those.
Nick used to make so much fun of me for my EMS license plates.
Rightfully so.
Right, yeah, I didn't
rightfully
know that was. I wouldn't have come here if I knew that.
so. We didn't even know it existed.
Wait,
This is actually the
do you still
intervention.
have
It's about
The
you.
question is, do you still have them?
Physically, I still have them. They're no longer on a vehicle.
There is
I should have put those, actually.
Because you stole my line. I was like, there's no reason these shouldn't be on the wall.
They
behind
should
you
be
right now.
100%.
Let's just do it right now.
And my hat that says EMT.
Before the end of this podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
This
we'll hang
wall's
those
going to
license plates.
change.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, 100%. All right, I'm slapping them up then. I think I know where they are.
Let's do this.
Jackpot.
He's gone. Let's go through his stuff.
Zero.
He's gone. We got to go through his stuff.
No, this is the part of the podcast that is a trap because he's like, now they're going to say the stuff.
I know. Aaron, if you're listening, you're really good looking. I notice up there amidst all of the stuff that he has Matthew McConaughey's autobiography, Green Lights.
Is that the one you listened to?
I purchased as an audiobook for a trip to California that I was driving to. Where's the camera? Oh, it's right there. Perfect. Talk more. If you listen to the audiobook of Green Lights read by the author, it is one of the more creepy audio journeys.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's fantastic. The best road trip book I've ever
Really?
listened to.
Interesting.
Okay.
Because you may remember that he finishes. I mean, the green lights are basically his way of getting past various impediments in his life. And at the end of the chapters, what does it usually say?
Green light.
Yeah. But if you're Matthew McConaughey and you're reading your own book, you say, green light. It's like super creepy.
That's hilarious.
Which made it fantastic. Yeah. I can't suggest that book enough for those
What-
of you with insomnia or taking long road trips.